As the sun starts to rise here at Spa-Francorchamps, we're going to head to another round of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship here on Racebot TV, Friday primetime here on the iRacing Esports Network. I am Connery Maddock. I'll be joined by Ryan Walker as ever for these broadcasts. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing very well, Connery. Good to be here with you tonight, and looking forward to covering this race and this series around this fantastic Spa-Francorchamps track.
Yeah, it should be an absolutely fantastic affair. Of course, it's one of the most popular weeks here in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship, considering how popular this track is. You can see it up on screen for you now, but I don't think it really needs that big of an introduction. You know what it is, Spa-Francorchamps. You can see track temp 18 degrees Celsius, but that will climb throughout the race as this sun comes up. Clear skies and moderate winds as well. So with all that said and done, of course, drivers getting on with their qualifying at the moment here. But in this situation, Ryan, it's a track that basically absolutely everyone and their mother knows on the roadside of iRacing. So it could be that this is one of the most competitive weeks that we'll see. Excuse me, I have some troubles with Ryan's audio there. Didn't quite get that one through, but we will just move swiftly on and take a little bit of a look at qualifying here at the moment. It's Paul Elbrink that's currently top of the timing sheets at the moment. There he is out there on track. He actually ends up getting punted very quickly down into third place on the timings at the moment. And I can pull the left-hand side sidebar up for you now to see where everyone lies in what looks to be a pretty competitive qualifying session here, Ryan. I think you're with us now.
Yeah, it's been pretty competitive in qualifying so far, and looking at the times, I think we're going to be in for a really close race this evening. And Spa, I think it's going to require a lot of patience in the early stages of the race with the cold tyres, and I think judging by the pace, it's going to be anyone's race.
Yeah, but there's a big flurry of times coming in. These are the first couple of competitive times that these drivers will be able to set. Suelio Almeida currently in provisional pole position at the moment. There he is. Of course, this is solo car qualifying, so none of the drivers can see each other out there on circuits. So despite us hopping forward just about half a corner, Suelio Almeida running out on his own. And for the Brazilian, this is good early pace here. 0.4 of a second clear of everyone else. Wouldn't have quite expected that at what I originally said might have been a very close racetrack in terms of the times here, but seemingly not with the driver of the number 4's performance.
Yeah, that's a bit surprising, and I thought that it would be a lot closer up at the front, but at the moment seems to be Almeida's pretty much the man in qualifying. It's on form, but we you know what Spa's like. You've got the long straights, and the slipstream of these cars is absolutely notorious. And yeah, I don't think anyone will be getting away from each other, so it's going to be a really close.
Yeah, very close. So Suelio Almeida will get his way towards the line. Of course, it's not the normal GP start-finish line. We will actually be going to the start-finish line on the old pit straight, which is round about here, as you're wondering why that time hasn't stopped just yet. It's going to be the run all the way down to there. So that's where the start-finish line is here. So a 2-minute 10.2 for Suelio Almeida. His lead is being threatened at the moment. Yeah, though Paul Ilbrink was set a pretty rapid lap time last time around, but still wasn't quite good enough to surpass that number 4 car, as drivers getting to the end of their second qualifying laps now. I think Dantas has come through to complete his, so he won't have enough time to get back around the circuit and put in a more competitive time. Here comes Savelli Seppa across the line, a 2:11.7 there for Seppa. Not going to do much for him. He'll start 14th, or at least in that 14th place. Who else is out there on circuit? I'm just trying to spot a couple of cars on my timing screens. A couple of cars at the back, a couple of cars that won't be able to complete their laps here. So I think this is probably the qualifying grid set. So there we go. So with the timings screen showing us 10 seconds left remaining in the session, what a qualifying performance from Almeida, Ryan.
Yeah, just absolutely pretty much a man on form in qualifying up at the front, and looking at the gap there about basically almost 0.3 of a second, and quite shocked by that. But in the race, I don't think that'll matter too much.
So here is your official starting grid then for this week's race in RaceSpot TV Friday primetime. Suelio Almeida at the top of the timing sheets by 2.5 of a second over Paul Ilbrink. Ross Woodford in third place with Elliot Veyron in P4. Then sliding back, you've got Phil Reed and Thomas Imberg lining up on that third row of the grid. Greg Seitz and James Clay bring things down to P8. Connor Ryan in P9 with Flavio Datas in P10. Amanda Natch there in P11. McCutchinson in the 12th spot. Daniel Jerez Juan in P number 13 here today. That's where he'll start. Severi Seppa, we saw his lap come to an end. He starts in P14. Eamon P15. And then Gimlewitz in P16. And then towards the back of the grid, Thomas Torp, you got Hayata Asaga, Evan Imre, Mitchell Green, and then the very final row number 11, goes to Thomas Hinds and Christian Takats. So that's your starting grid for this round of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. You can see the drivers just getting themselves stacked up behind that pace car. Just a very short partial lap here at Spa before we get to go racing. And the important point for this race is, of course, going to be that ever-present draft.
Absolutely, as everyone's just lining up on the grid at the moment, and we'll soon be underway with the formation lap. As on the screen right now, you've got the schedule for the rest of the season.
Yep, so we are basically towards the middle of the season now. You see round number 7 at Spa-Francorchamps, and then next week we'll be heading to our second oval of the season in the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then it's back to road racing action at Mid-Ohio, then Suzuka. And then you got a couple of rounds to finish off the season. Lucas Oil Raceway, Laguna Seca, and then that big wild card finale, round number 13 at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That is going to be a very, very interesting affair indeed. But with drivers on, they're out lap now, behind the pace car, the formation lap. Before we get to go racing, rolling start in this series, of course. So we'll get racing pretty much immediately. We'll get the green flag coming out of La Source due to the start-finish line being on that old start-finish straight. So through the bus stop they come. The pace car will pull off, and then Suelio Almeida will be able to control this restart from the front. Just on the left-hand side there in that yellow and black car. He'll wind things down as that pace car, of course, he'll cut in after last source to try and get this race started. We'll have 15 laps here of Spa-Francorchamps to decide your victor at the end of the day. But it starts just like this in a couple of moments. We'll get the green flag out here at Spa-Francorchamps. Let's go racing in these Indy Pro 2000 machines on the way into Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. 15 laps of racing are underway. Sumilio Media has gotten away well at the front of the field, but they're scrapping. Further back, though, between Veyron, we got Reed, we got Imberg in amongst that group as well, as we'll get some instances of side-by-side for the first time in towards Lecum. Ilbrink's going for the race lead over Almeida. It's the entire podium that are really scrapping it out at the moment. There's Ross Woodford making his way through into second place. Ilbrink out into the gravel though, and he's getting cycled all the way to the back of the field. So Ilbrink's aggression early on, it hasn't paid off.
Yeah, Ilbrink tried to make a move into Les Coombs, and they are on the outside, and unfortunately he was slightly offline, and just basically ran wide. They lost grip and went into the gravel, and he's lost a ton of places.
Yep, here he is on that start with Ross Woodford. Ooh, was there a little bit of contact there? I think there might have been. Then Ilbrink gets up onto that curb and then spat out into the gravel. Very lucky not to catch anyone out that was coming hot into that. And might have been a bigger incident than it first looked. So Ilbrink able to keep control of his car after having that little bit of an off. But now he has a big recovery drive to attempt here. And it's from P16.
Yeah, he's down in P16 at the moment. And I think the best he can hope for is Paul is just try and recover as many positions as possible and just try and salvage something. But as they come up to Blanchimont and on the first lap, and but I thought Ilbrink was running wider, but managed to keep it in the track limits, and as they come up to the final chicane.
There we go. We were aware we just didn't have any car audio for the first lap, but we have that fixed now. So you can see Paul Ilbrink still trying to work through, and it's a bit of traffic now that he has to deal with. But let's have a look back towards the front, because they are still scrapping up there. We got Woodford, we got Imberg involved in this. There's Phil Reed looking to make an aggressive move. Nose to the inside of Eau Rouge and Radion. Perhaps not the best idea, but Ross Woodford looking to get the run off the corner to be able to do something about Imberg. He'll go for it now down the Kemmel straight, as you can see now splitting down the middle. 3 wide. Phil Reed looking to get themselves involved. We are 3 wide on the way in towards Lecum, but that number 6 has come out on top. Phil Reed, I think he picked up 2 positions in one corner.
Yeah, that was a fantastic move by Phil. Managed to, like you said, managed to gain 2 positions, and he's pulling away already. So it looks like Ross Woodford and some of these guys behind him might be struggling a little bit or holding each other up, and Phil's just thinking, yep, you guys scrap away, and that way I'll pull away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see all these cars keeping themselves close together, and that's just what the draft does here at this track. Even if you might be a couple of tenths of a second off of your competitors through the corners, you can really keep yourself in contention just sitting inside that slipstream. Beautiful orange glow off the racetrack, though, as we are still very early in the morning in sim time in Belgium. So that is going to be an issue. Maybe a bit of glare coming through some of these corners, especially if you have the HDR setting turned on. It can be a bit of an issue sometimes, but that will get a little bit better as this race progresses. But for now, Almeida leading by about a second over Veyron, and then you have this battle for third as Thomas Imberg looking to try and do something about that number 6 car. Can't do anything on the run up towards Blanchimont, but get a good run off this corner with the slipstream into the bus stop, and you might be able to pull off an overtake. Reed didn't go defensive at all, and you can look behind, because now Ross Woodford looking to get himself involved in the other Radicals car. So his teammate Paul Ilbrink was chancing for the race lead. That's Connor Ryan trying to get himself involved. Now he has to try and defend from Zeitz. Zeitz was looking to try and make a move into La Source, but not successful. He just has to wait and fight another day.
Yeah, Zeitz trying to make a move into turn 1, and he couldn't really do anything. And I think his best chance of making a move could be on the exit of Ruse and Radion, and yeah, it looks like it's not close enough, but that slipstream he could close back up on Ryan as they head down to Lacombe.
Yeah, it could be a big possibility. And you can see drivers going for moves now. You see that number 2 on the inside of Ross Woodford, and leaves everyone else behind. Imberg is there, Ryan's there as well, but these guys have got to be careful because further down the road, Phil Reed in 3rd place, he's really gapped these guys. You can see the separation on the way into Rolls Ravage. That's not what this group wants. They want to keep within the slipstream of your podium runners, and they might feel they're getting held up.
Yeah, quite possibly, and Phil Reed is just looking at his pace. He's absolutely on it at the moment, and he's already caught up to the top 2 in front of him. And I don't know if he keeps out of trouble this evening. He could be in with a chance of finishing on the podium, or even at a push taking the win. But they've still got a long way to go in this race, of course.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're still in the early stages. We're on lap number 3 of 15, so still plenty of time to be able to make things work. There was a car that went very wide there. That was Zeitz. Let's take a little bit of an onboard with him as he's involved in this fight with Connor Ryan, but hasn't been able to make these moves just yet. He's been gesturing, he's been showing the nose into some of these corners, but the door hasn't been opened yet for him to make his way through.
Yeah, there's nothing really that Greg can do at the moment. He's kind of, because these guys in front of him are so evenly matched, he just can't really make a move as he's closing in the slipstream ever so slightly, heading down to the final chicane, but he can't do anything about it. And we know how quick Greg can be from his past races, racing in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup.
Just a little dose of counter steer coming out of the bus stop. That was the same for Ryan as well, so it's not just a problem that Zeitz was dealing with through there. Now into La Source, and no such oversteer cut problems coming through the exit of that corner. And now you've got that long run down the hill, across all the old grid spots, into that famous complex. Eau Rouge, Radion, as you climb up the hill towards the Kemmel Straight, using the slipstream all the way. But Zeitz didn't get the best of runs, and in fact these guys ahead might be fighting now. There we go, Thomas Imberg to the inside over Woodford into the braking zone, and well, there's going to be a swap for position further back as well, because Connor Ryan is now sensing an opportunity because of Woodford's compromised line, but Woodford is able to hold position. He was at such a huge risk of losing 2 spots in one corner, and now bad run for Ryan means that Zeitz is able to aim for the inside, coming in towards Ravage, but can he make this pass complete? It's going to be a bit of a struggle from where he is right now. He has to back out of it by the time Jackie X corner arrives, but that's the thing coming into Lacombe. It's so easy for 3rd, 4th parties to capitalize on your compromised line if someone's made it to your inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan wasn't for giving that position up easy, and he manages to hold on to it. But just watching him, he's on board at the moment. He's looking really feisty.
He does look particularly strong. But again, he's just had not he had that opportunity, of course, over cars around him. There's James Clay further behind. That's the number 14 car. Still kept within this train. Really, anyone in this train is on for a very, very good finish at this stage. You can see there's the battle for P4 though. Imberg and Woodford. And Woodford's got a really good run out of Blanchimont. And, well, it wasn't really fought there by Imberg into the braking zone for the bus stop. He just let his competitors by, but a bit of dose of oversteer again. This time from Woodford coming out of the bus stop chicane. So drivers are having problems with the traction coming out of that corner that they don't seem to get coming out of another similarly slow corner like this. But there's contact. Oh my words! Imberg involved. There's number 7 as well. That's Connor Ryan that is involved there. A lot of drivers just having to take that corner wide because that car stranded on the inside. There's a bit of debris there as well. So let's have a look at what happened, because we didn't get the best of views immediately. That all happened all of a sudden. We'll get the chopper cam out and be able to see this one from up above. So you can see Ryan's center shot there. You can see the likes of Imberg and Woodford, that leading pair at the front of the pack. They get into the last source fine. And then, I'm not sure exactly what Ryan was trying to accomplish there.
Yeah. There was there was kind of a gap open there, but I think it was just Connor just carried too much speed into the corner, or maybe just slightly got caught out, and just had nowhere to go. As I look at the replay from his onboard, and yeah, I'm not sure what Connor was doing there. He was going for a gap that was never really there, and just silly mistake. And also watching him when he went into the pit lane, he clipped one of the tyres.
So that's his day going from bad to worse within a space of about 5 seconds. But it was a pretty silly incident, all things considered, carrying a little bit too much speed into last source, running straight into the back of the car ahead of him. And Imberg is going to be rightfully furious about that, because he was running pretty well. He was fighting for position with Woodford for 4th place, and now he's all the way down in P21. There he is, out on track. He isn't too damaged. We'll have to see if there's any alignment issues at the rear of that car, but still, it's P4 to P21, and no one's going to be happy about that.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for Thomas. He was having such a great race, but yeah, it's around a track such as Spa, something like that can happen just because of how close the pack can be. But back up at the front, looking at the top 3, looking at our media and Veyron, and look who's joined the party now in 3rd place is Phil Reed, who has absolutely caught these guys at a rate of knots.
Yep, he really has, bringing himself into contention. So there's all 3 of your podium sitters, all within the same piece of real estate. Of course, we're yet to hit the halfway point in this race, but Veyron, he had a very good run out of Rouge and Radion there, so a move is on the cards here on the way into Lecombe. But you see Almeida going back to the normal racing line. He's not afraid of a dive just yet, but the later this race goes, the more that's going to be a possibility and an attractive option for those cars behind.
Absolutely, and these 3 guys have pulled away from the rest of the pack, but just looking in the background as well, with 4th place is not too far behind, so if any of these 3 slip up or make a mistake or get caught with each other, 4th place will be there to pick up the pieces. But at the moment it looks like these guys are not, they're battling a little bit, but they're not scrapping away too much. And just in the background there is Ross Woodford, and we know how quick Ross can be with his car, so don't rule him out of possibly catching up to these guys.
He did lose about 3/10 on that last lap, but we'll get a better picture of things with his progress once he comes across the line to see exactly how much he was able to gain or lose on these 3. But again, if these 3 start fighting, then definitely Woodford is in the conversation here to get himself a podium. So he has plenty of time as well, because again, like I said, we are not even at the halfway point of the race just yet. So if he's able to just even maintain pace at the moment, I would call that a win. As we're looking at Phil Reed at the moment, who's kind of the tail end of this trio. We're on board with him now. This little pack has been a bit docile for the moment, but that is definitely not going to continue for the rest of the laps that we have left.
Absolutely not, and Ryder on board with Phil Reed as well. He's just sitting watching these two guys in front of him, Almeida and Veyron in front of him, and just kind of he got left behind a little bit. But I don't know if Phil's just sitting there waiting, just being patient, not trying anything silly, just waiting to plan out what he's going to do, and maybe just wait and see what these guys up ahead are going to do, or they scrap away like crazy, or maybe just play the sensible game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Phil Reed does have the benefit of the double toe here. Almeida was quite slow out of Radion, and look at the run from Phil Reed. He might be able to get both of them done in towards Lecombe. That's a bit of a misplay there from Almeida, or was it calculated? Because now Veyron's lost the position. Almeida maintains the race lead, so I guess Veyron, not wanting to take his run over the race leader, has inadvertently lost himself a position.
Yeah, Veyron didn't, like you say, he didn't make too much of an issue of it. He just let Reed go and just tucked him behind. And that was absolutely crazy. The overspeed that Reed got, he could have. I thought he was going to get by 2 of these guys before Lecombe, but surprisingly he didn't. So maybe Veyron, just like you say, just sitting back and not making an issue of it.
Yeah, I think so. So a change of order in and amongst your top 3. Almeida immediately trying to gap these guys, though. He's actually got a decent one at that, because it's up to 6.5 tenths of a second now. So in a way, he's come off pretty good as a result of that little altercation between P2 and P3, but he's definitely not secure. Those cars are still within drafting distance of him, so very much in the picture, but it will give us a little bit of time to have a look back at what's happening elsewhere on circuit. There's this neat little battle here for P7 and 8 between Asaga and Juan, as they're going to go side by side through Blanchimont, aren't they? Are they? And, well, they're going to fight it. The 17 and the 12 car through Blanchimont side by side, just for the entry though, not for the exit, as Juan's going to come back at Asaga here into the bus stop chicane, but it looks like Asaga has the better line, has the inside, better on the brakes as well to be able to secure that position. So we look at the right place at the right time, and Asaga is able to hold on, and you've got a little bit of trainer cars behind these guys as well, led by Jim Lewitz. So you've got Jim Lewitz, Takax, and Imon involved in this train as well. So there's still a lot of places on circuit that we do have active battling.
Absolutely, and just looking further back in the pack as well, Paul Albrink amazingly had managed to recover and get himself back into the top 10. So,
whoa, race lead.
Oh, it is the race lead. Whoa.
Yeah, look at this. Almeida trying to defend on the inside into Lacombe. Phil Reed trying to gain some ground there on the outside of Lacombe, and it is possible if you commit to it, and the guy on the driver on the inside is a little bit more tentative, and you can keep it to the outside for the first apex. It then gifts you the inside for the second apex. And if you get clear there, then you're golden. But if you're still side by side, then the advantage switches again. So it really needs big commitment there. And that's the first time that Albedia has been challenged in any strong fashion for the race lead.
Absolutely. I thought Reed was going to get him, but he didn't manage to get the move done, and again, just looking in the background, Ross Woodford has closed that gap down to these guys ever so slightly. So Ross he's closing the gap a little bit, but he's not putting in like really quick pace to close these guys down quickly. So as it stands, it's still between these three guys, and Phil Reed under attack from Veyron.
Yeah, here he's come. Here he comes into Blanchimont, but again, it's a very rare overtaking opportunity. Hey, you just wait, bide your time, look maybe to dive down the inside at the bus stop. But at this early stage, not a very attractive option. It's more of a last lap, last ditch attempt to be able to make a pass coming through there. So they'll stay as they are across the Grand Prix pit boxes. And now into La Source. It's still a stalemate in and amongst these three, but Veyron, after he lost that second place, he's sort of been content to sit third at the moment. He knows that this is still playing the long game. With the draft here, even though it might be simple for you to get past at some points on this circuit, it's the same for everyone else. If they can just sit in your slipstream down the Kemmel Straight like Veyron's doing here. And you can see the weaving that Almeida is attempting as well. You can see how powerful the draft is as both these P2 and P3 cars close in on your race leader. Reed going to attempt around the outside of your race leader, but Almeida is able to hold on. Different lines being taken through there as we get a great view of this from the onboard of Veyron.
This is a fantastic battle between the top three as well. And Reed tried to go for a move again, but he wasn't close enough, and he wasn't alongside on the outside to try and make a move on the outside again. But this is absolutely fantastic stuff. And even though the field spreader, I should say, we've still got fantastic racing, and especially between the top three.
Yeah, and Almeida has been the driver leading since the drop of the green flag. He's been challenged a few times now, but he'll be challenged yet more times in the final couple of laps of this race. That's for certain, unless Reed and Veyron are more concerned about each other than trying to go for the race lead at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being the case, and then Almeida is able to gap both of them. But for now, it looks like Almeida is much stronger through the back end of the circuit, sort of coming in towards Lafonia, and then this run all the way through Blanchimont into the bus stop. That seems to be where Almeida is strong, and he's able to get just about enough of a gap to not really be afraid of any dive bombs.
Yeah, it seems to be in the last sector. Maybe Almeida's carrying a bit more downforce for the high speed corners, but Reed and Veyron are using low downforce for for the straight. So it's kind of a mixture. And Veyron is right behind Reed as they head down to turn 1.
Again, Veyron's still playing the long game. It would have been so easy for him to just angle to the inside there, go for the send, and try and take position, but he realizes that would have probably lost them time, and it's time they can't afford to lose, because Almeida is so strong in clear air. These guys basically need the draft to keep themselves in contention. They'll get another big run this time out of Radion, but is it going to be enough? It hasn't been the case the last couple of times, but you can see Almeida every single lap. He seems more stringent about trying to keep that inside line into Lecombe. Again, no opportunity this time from Reed, but he's getting closer, and he's making Almeida feel a lot more pressure on his gearbox.
Yeah, he is, and Almeida can feel the pressure as well, just judging by the way he's moving around a little bit. He moves to the inside ever so slightly just to cover his territory and not allow Reed a chance to try and sneak up the inside. But again, these guys are just going at it, and I think these guys are realising now with about 5 laps remaining in this race that this is go time.
Yeah, and the gap back to 4th place, Ross Woodford, is not too threatening for these guys, so they can afford to have a scrap and still fight amongst themselves for the podium positions. But I mean, never say never as far as the driver of the number 2 is concerned in 4th place. Ross Woodford, an incredibly strong driver in these cars, so he's not one to back down from a challenge. But that was a bad entry to the corner there for Phil Reed into the first of the 2 Stavelos, and this will give Veyron now a bit of an opportunity, but he's going to lift out. He's not capitalizing on the big old slingshot, and he's just going to stay behind. This is very passive here from Veyron, but when is he going to strike? You know, we're coming up to we've got 5 laps to go at this point, and he's still playing and driving very passively. Reed locking up a little bit there into the bus stop. He's feeling a lot of pressure as well.
Yep, he is indeed, and I think Veyron, I think he wants to try, or he wanted to try and make a move through Blanchimont, but it's kind of it's too risky. I mean, I can understand if it was on the last lap or the last 2 laps that you want to try and make a move through Blanchimont if you're close enough, but at this stage it's a bit too early, and also with the slipstream as well. If he made a move past Reed could easily just make a move back by him using the slipstream on this straight right here.
I mean, Veyron might be tempted to take this opportunity here. Of course, they're both closing massively on the race leader, but Reed isn't going to be anywhere near as close as he has been, so that actually allows Almeida to return back to the racing line and take Leclerc normally. So they lost a lot of ground on that last lap due to the slight little errors that Phil Reed had in 2nd place.
Yep, and these guys again. I noticed as well. Almeida, the last sector, he seems to pull away a little bit with maybe using that higher downforce, and it just seems to build a little bit of a gap to Reed and Veyron. But again, Reed and Veyron close the gap. Oh, there's been issues further back in the pack.
Yeah, Saga evolved in this one, and there was another car in the barrier as well. That was the number 17 car of Daniel Juan. So these guys have been fighting for a while off our screens. You can see them heading their way into Lecombe. What's happened here? Oh, a Saga. Oh, actually, wow, that was just the car ahead getting loose there, Juan. And then Asaga just got collected in that, no fault of his own at all. We'll get another look at that one. As you'll see, there's the move from Juan. And he's going to get it complete in towards Lecombe. But the car just looked very unstable. Back end sliding out. And unfortunately for Asaga, that's exactly where his trajectory was taking him. There's no way you could react to that if you're the number 12.
Yeah, he just had nowhere to go, and Juan just basically looked like he tried to get back in the power and just lost traction, and the rear wheel spun up, and he had just nothing he could do. And unfortunately, Asaga was the unfortunate victim in the incident and just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, we'll get Asaga's view of it. So there's Juan heading his way through into the Lecombe, and Asaga's going to commit to the left-hand side of the circuit here. That's the normal, he's well within his right to do that, and that 17 car just breaks traction, spins right in front of him. Nothing he can do about that, unfortunately. It's such an unfortunate way to go out of this race, but it's racing, and look at this for the race lead now. Again, Almeida trying to play some shenanigans with the slipstream on the way into the sequence of corners, but it's, again, he's doing a very, very good job of keeping that number 6 car behind, and it doesn't seem to be very likely that Phil Reed will be able to do anything about this unless he just gets the mother of all runs out of Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, Reed just needs to try and get the best exit and best run as possible on the exit of Eau Rouge and the Eau Rouge and Radion, and just try and maximise it, try and carry the speed as much as possible on the exit, and just use that speed to try and get a good slipstream. But these guys are so close, it's just you can't really do anything. You can use the slipstream, but there's only so much you can do with that slipstream.
Yeah, it is, even though it is so powerful, you also need to do things yourself as a driver. You need to nail that exit out of La Source to give you that run through Eau Rouge, through Radion. You got your line perfect through there. You got to avoid the 1X on the inside at the top of the hill as well. I mean, if you have those to spare in the last lap, then maybe you might just take one for the team there. But right now, these guys on their way into the bus stop. Almeida, he's slow into there. And now this is an opportunity for Phil Reed. His nose is there, tries to take these sweeping lines through the apexes as they come up across the GP start-finish line. There might have been a little bit of an error there from Almeida into the bus stop that has now given Reed and Veyron this opportunity, so they're all bunched up together again. This is as close as these three have been all the way through La Source. A fantastic camera there on the apex of it to show exactly how nose to tail these cars are. Reed's getting very concerned about Veyron behind him, steps out of line as to not give him the draft, but now this is the important run. Through Eau Rouge, through Radion. That's a bad line there from Veyron, so he might not be able to really capitalize on this, but he has the draft and he might be able to follow Phil Reed through, because Almeida didn't get an exemplary line through Eau Rouge and Radion, and now this is Phil Reed's best opportunity to go around the outside. At Lecombe, he's just about got it done, but here comes the crossover for Almeida. He can't find a gap. He's going to have to look for the run in towards Rivage now. Dives to the inside as we're fighting for the race lead in the dying laps of this race at Spa. Almeida just about gets back to the race lead. He's unfazed.
Oh, that was First off, that was a fantastic move by Reed on the outside into Lecombe, and Almeida wasn't fazed by that at all. Just decided that, no, you're not getting away from me that easy, and just decided to go up the inside, made it stick, and retake the lead. And I have to say, these drivers in the top three must be buzzing with this battle. They must have, like, the adrenaline must be pumping.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I don't think any of these three drivers are playing it cool at the moment. Perhaps the coolest one is Veyron at the moment, because he's playing this, driving in a very calculated manner at the moment. He's waiting for Phil Reed to make that gap on Almeida, and he's going to try and follow him through. But now you can see Almeida getting his characteristic good run through the middle sector, which allows this gap on the way through Blanchimont and into the bus stop. But Veyron now really piling on the pressure onto Reed. Now he might want to take second place away and say, hey, I want a shot at Suelio.
Absolutely. I think if you're Veyron and you're sitting behind these two guys, you've just got to... If I was Veyron, you've just got to go for it now. Try and make a move, try and get up into second, or even worse, or even better, I should say, try and use that slipstream and try and get a double toe, and try and maximise that speed in the straight line to try and make a double move.
Exactly. Well, we saw a huge titanic battle on the last lap coming out of Eau Rouge Radion and into Lecombe. It's going to be the same this time around on lap number 14 of 15. So it's the penultimate lap here at Spa in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. Here's the move for Phil Reed, trying around the outside once again. Characteristically deep on the brakes. It's absolutely wheel to wheel through the first sector here at Spa, but Almeida, is he still able to hold on? It's still going to be side by side on towards Rivage, just like the previous lap. I'm getting a bit of deja vu here, but Phil Reed now has been able to come out on top. Almeida back into second place, but now how is Almeida on the offensive? Because his defense work has been okay so far, but he needs to get this pass right back in a very limited time.
Indeed, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but like you say, Conrad, if Almeida will go in the offensive straight away, or if he'll try and wait for the straight after O'Rourke and Radio on to make a move on the last lap. But Phil Reid, I have to say, has been absolutely ruthless in this race. He's been taking every opportunity to try and make a move and to try and take the lead. And the last 2 laps that he's got the chance, he's took them and succeeded. But again, Almeida is not giving up without a fight, and neither is this man, Veyron.
Veyron could well go from third to first towards this final lap here. What has he been hiding in the bag? But look at the run down towards the inside. Almeida at Blanchimont brings it side by side and to be able to get through, but there's still an opportunity here for Reid to make the pass on the inside. Right back at him through the bus stop. Almeida back to the race lead, but he's going to have a compromise run here off the second to last corner. We are using the old pit straight here as Phil Reid. Now, is he going to go for the dive towards the inside of La Source, or is he going to wait for that slipstream pass? I think it's going to be the second option here. A big wide arc being taken by Almeida. He has a compromise run, so white flag this time across the line, and we're going to go side by side into Eau Rouge, are we? No. Phil Reid's a little bit too far back, but now he's just going to have to sit inside that slipstream and make this same pass attempt 3 times in a row around the outside into Lecombe. But this is the best run that he's had of all of them, and here comes Veyron to the inside. 2 tyres in the grass there. 3 wide for the race lead into Lecombe, and Veyron to the race lead from third place. I said he might have a chance, and now he has one foot on the top step.
Yeah, Veyron's got to keep his composure. He defends the inside. What's he has to do? He has to defend the inside now. He has to defend for all it's worth, but do it fairly and cleanly.
Look at this, side by side, through Rivage. Almeida, he doesn't want to let this one get away from him. Through Jackie Ick's corner, Veyron squeezed out wide as they're still fighting. They're still scrapping on the entry into Pouhon, but finally they get single file. But this is simply not done just yet. We still have half a lap to go, and any one of these 3 cars can come out on top. Phil Reid, he's been cycled back into third place, but don't count him out of this. It is still a scrap amongst these 3. Woodford in 4th place. You can see him in the background. He's now starting to close in, so this might be a 4-car scrap in through the final couple of corners if the right set of circumstances goes Ross Woodford's way. But finally, the last big acceleration zone before we get ourselves towards the end of the lap. Remember, start-finish line is out of La Source. It's not where it is in Formula 1. Almeida around the outside at Blanchimont. Max Verstappen move as he brings it wheel to wheel on the brakes into the bus stop. Can Veyron hold on? He has to hold it around the outside to gift him the inside for the second apex, but he's not able to. Almeida leads this race across the Grand Prix pits, but he still has one more corner to go here. Still a chance from everyone else behind. Phil Reid is trying to fight with Veyron through La Source, but it's now the run to the line. Suelio, Almeida. Veyron doesn't have a head of steam here. Almeida will be able to get to the line to win here at Spa-Francorchamps after a stellar finish amongst 3 drivers.
Oh, what a fantastic finish, and that final lap was absolutely awesome to watch. And the lead changed God knows how many times, but Conrad, that last lap battle was fantastic to watch, and yeah, that has to be right up there with the last lap finish from last week.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant, and what a performance from that man, Suelio Almeida. That was a crazy, crazy, crazy final lap. Absolutely insane. There's Phil Reid as what could have been second place for most of this race, but third at the end of the day. Veyron had a very good shot as well. I almost believed in his performance, getting to the race lead in the final lap. And then, well, don't count out Almeida. He came right back at him. Wow, I need to catch my breath. But before we do so, we'll get the rest of these runners heading their way across the line. Where did Paul Ilbrink finish? Because he was on his recovery drive. He finished in 6th place, so that's a massive recovery drive from Ilbrink. But everyone else getting themselves towards the start-finish line now. What an incredible race. I'm going to submit that for the iRacing top 10s of this month. Let's just say that. But as we see, Thomas Torp He's the last of the runners out there through La Source. And then towards the checkered flag for him, finishing in P number 18 here today. So with that, we can actually go through your official race results here at Spa-Francorchamps. What a battle it was for those top 3 spots. Suelio Almeida comes out on top by 0.2 of a second over Elliot Veyron. Phil Reed in 3rd place as well. All 3 of those cars led the race at some point. We've got Ross Woodford in 4th place, Greg Seitz P5, Paul Ilbrink recovering from an early race incident up into P6, Severi Seppa in P7, Takax there in P8, Ayman in P9, and Emre in that 10th spot. And then those drivers outside the top 10, John McCutchinson, Connor Ryan, you have Thomas Hinz there, Fabio Dantas, you've got Mitchell Green, Thomas Imborg, Hayata Asaga, Thomas Torp, Daniel Juan, and Aurelian Jim Lewitz, bringing things down to the top 20. And then those cars that finished 8 laps down more, you got James Clay out of the race and Valentin Mandanach bringing his car home in 22nd place right at the back. So before we get to our post-race show here, we'll just take a very, very short commercial break, but don't go away because we'll have the post-race show just after this.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loba is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett Low. 4 wide at the stripe. For all he's with here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
We just had another brilliant finish here in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. 3 drivers, a couple of laps at the end to decide the positions between all of them. And I think we got the final lap that we really desperately wanted. Suelio Almeida led this race from the very start, but my word, he was challenged every single step of the way by both Veyron and Reed, but Almeida, he didn't crack. He was able to recompose himself after he lost the race lead a few times and got right back to the pointy end of the field to win today. I am Connery Maddock. I'm joined by Ryan Walker here for the post-race show, and again, I just cannot stress how amazing that finish was.
Oh, that finish was absolutely nuts, and yeah, watching those two, the top 3 guys going at it for most of the race, and especially on that last lap, was absolutely fantastic to watch. And I think that's worth being submitted to the top 10 highlights.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get on that. I'm going to save the replay. I'm going to send iRacing the broadcast footage and everything. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. And if we're not on the top 10 for the month of July, I'm going to write a sternly worded letter to iRacing, as is, I do know some of the staff members there, so it's pretty easy for me to do. But, but yeah, still, all three of those drivers at the end there deserve credit, because that could have ended in tears and quickly, especially looking 3 wide into Lecum, final lap of the race. That doesn't usually happen, and when it does, it most often happens with all 3 cars in the barrier. So I'm amazed that they were able to keep it together, and the racecraft was exemplary between all of them as well. I give them a golf clap to be able to hold that.
Yeah, and it's proof again that why the Pro Mazda, or Indy Pro 2000 series as it's called now, is one of the best, or one of the best communities around, just because of the racecraft, and there's a respect between the drivers. Everyone helps each other, and like we saw tonight between the top 3 on the last lap, they went 3 wide, but they gave each other plenty of room, plenty of respect, and I think that's it just proves why this series is so good.
Yeah, we've had so many fantastic finishes in this series as well. It's absolutely brilliant to see. We had a fantastic finish on the oval as well, with Ocean Walsh coming away with the win at Phoenix. So speaking of ovals, though, we'll be heading to an oval next race, the Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, which will be an interesting predicament. Of course, we had a very... we had a large amount of cautions at Phoenix, which was our previous oval. Do you think that's going to be the same next week?
I'm not sure. I think with it being the second oval race for this car, I think it is. I think it could be, drivers should be a lot more comfortable with the car on ovals. But again, it could be the case like we saw in the first oval, that some of the road racers with this car decided to give the first oval race of the season a miss, so it could be the case again, but we'll need to wait and see.
Yep, we will need to wait and see. And, with that, we don't have any driver interviews for you, unfortunately. So that is going to be all that we have time for here on RaceSpot TV Friday primetime on the iRacing Esports Network. Join us same time, same place next week for, on this occasion, oval racing action at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. But that's not the end of the racing here this week on RaceSpot. We have a pretty big event coming at you for the weekend. We have the VCO Cup of Nations powered by Acronis and in support of UNICEF for both the Saturday and the Sunday here on the iRacing Esports Network, where we do, for those of you old folks that remember the World Cup of iRacing, it's basically a very similar format there. We've got cash prizes, we've got some insane racing on the cards with road racing, oval, rallycross, absolutely everything. So that is going to be an absolutely fantastic event. It starts at 4 p.m. GMT tomorrow for the group stage, and it's the same time for the knockout stage for the final stage on Sunday. So that's one you really don't want to miss. It will be myself on the broadcast, Paul Smith and Will Vincent, and we have the special guest of Matt Gallagher from WTF1. So a lot of racing and a lot of action to be looking forward to here on RaceSpot over the weekend. But for here on the Friday, we got to say goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.